Hi, welcome children. Today I am going to discuss about the part 2 of the grade 10 unit 1. The part 2 of the grade 10 unit 1 is carbohydrates. In our previous video we have learned about the elements contained in the nature and then compounds contained in the living body. After that, elements contained in the living body, and then organic compounds and inorganic compounds, biological molecules. Under the biological molecules we have learnt about biological molecules. Mainly there are 4 types: carbohydrates, proteins, lipids and nucleic acid. Among them, today I am going to explain about the carbohydrates. Carbohydrates, right? Carbohydrates mean this is the most abundant organic compound on earth. The carbohydrate is the organic compound, and also carbohydrate is the most abundant organic compound on the earth. Organic compound on the earth, and also they are produced during the photosynthesis of green plants. The carbohydrate is the most abundant organic compound on the earth, and also these carbohydrates are produced during the photosynthesis of green plants. In our previous grade we have learnt about what is meant by photosynthesis. Photosynthesis means the process of producing food in green plants. The food produced by the photosynthesis belongs to the carbohydrates. Right now we have learnt about 2 points under the carbohydrate. The first one we have learnt is this is the most abundant organic compound on earth, and then we have learnt about they are produced during the photosynthesis of green plants. And also the following foods contain carbohydrates. What are the food items which contain the carbohydrates? Right, let's go to learn about what are the food items which contain the carbohydrates. Potato, and also sweet potato, grains, sugar, flour are the some types of the food which contain the carbohydrates. Right now we have learned about the most abundant organic compound on the earth is carbohydrate, and then we have learned about these carbohydrates are produced by the photosynthesis of the green plants, and then we have learned about different types of food which contain the carbohydrates. Right, next one. Right, main elements composition of carbohydrate is carbon, hydrogen and oxygen. It means carbohydrate is made by 3 elements. Carbohydrates contain 3 elements. What are they? Carbon, hydrogen and oxygen. If not, carbon, hydrogen and oxygen are the elements contained in the carbohydrates. And also hydrogen and oxygen combine in 2:1 ratio in carbohydrates. In our previous point we have learned about carbohydrate contain 3 elements. What are they? Carbon, hydrogen and oxygen. Among them, hydrogen and oxygen, if not ratio between the hydrogen and oxygen is 2:1. Right, okay. Then we will go to learn about different types of the carbohydrates. Now when we consider about the carbohydrates can be divided into the 3 groups. One of them is monosaccharide. The second one is disaccharide. The third one is polysaccharide. Right now we have learned about carbohydrates. Mainly there are 3 types. What are they? Monosaccharide, disaccharide and polysaccharide. And also now when we consider about the monosaccharide mainly there are 3 types. What are they? Glucose, fructose and galactose. Monosaccharide mainly there are 3 types: glucose, fructose and galactose. And also disaccharide made by combination of the two monosaccharide. Disaccharide is made by combination of the two monosaccharide. Right? What are the types of the disaccharide? The disaccharide also mainly there are three types. What are they? Maltose, sucrose and lactose. Maltose, sucrose and lactose. And also now when we consider about the polysaccharide, polysaccharide is made by combination of the large number of monosaccharide. So what are the types of the polysaccharide? Polysaccharide also mainly there are three types: starch, glycogen and cellulose. Starch, glycogen and cellulose. Right now when we consider about the carbohydrates mainly there are three types: monosaccharide, disaccharide and polysaccharide. Monosaccharide also there are three types: glucose, fructose and galactose. And also now when we consider about the disaccharide also mainly there are three types: maltose, sucrose and lactose. Maltose, sucrose and lactose. And also when we consider about the polysaccharide also mainly there are three types: starch, cellulose and glycogen. Starch, cellulose and glycogen. Right, then we will go to learn about the monosaccharide. Right now we are going to learn about the monosaccharide. There are three types of monosaccharide. Right, in our previous slide also we have learned about the types of the monosaccharide. Now what are they? Glucose, fructose and galactose. Glucose, fructose and galactose are the different types of the monosaccharide. Then we will go to learn about the types of the monosaccharide. Here this column contains types of monosaccharide: glucose, fructose and galactose. The second column contains location it present. Glucose is present in bee, ripened fruits and bee honey. And also other facts of the glucose are the end product during hydrolysis of all starch food in glucose. And also these glucose absorb into the blood. Right now when we eat the starch food, the byproduct, if not end product of the starch food is glucose. Our body absorb, if not blood, absorb glucose. Right. Second point, plant produce glucose during photosynthesis. Right. This glucose is produced by the plants by photosynthesis. Energy is released during breaking down of glucose in cellular respiration. Right now we have learned about glucose is the end product during hydrolysis of starch food. And also this glucose is produced during the photosynthesis of the plants. And also when eat the starch food, this starch food produce the glucose. This glucose absorbed into our blood. In our blood, this glucose is transported into our cells. In the cells, right, glucose is subjected to the cellular respiration. Right, so when breaking down of the glucose, energy is released. Right, this process is known as cellular respiration. Right now we have learned about the glucose. Then we will go to learn about the fructose. Right, location it present. Right, if not, sources of the fructose are ripened fruits, bee honey, pumpkin and carrots are the some sources of the fructose. Right, then we will go to learn about other fact of the fructose. Right, fructose commonly known as fruit sugar. Fructose commonly known as fruit sugar. And also fructose is formed during ripening of fruits. Right, normally fruits do not contain the fructose. And also the raw fruits, when becomes into the ripen, the fructose is formed. If not, fructose is formed during ripening of fruits. And also this is the sweetest sugar. Among the different types of the sugar, the sweetest sugar is fructose. The sweetest sugar is fructose, right? Then we will go to learn about the galactose. Galactose contain only in the daily product. It means milk, yogurt, cheese, like that things are the sources of the galactose, right? The end product during hydrolysis of lactose, no sweet taste for the galactose. Right now we have learned about under the monosaccharide glucose, fructose and galactose, right? Then we will go to learn about the disaccharide, right? Two monosaccharide join to form a disaccharide. Two monosaccharide join to form the disaccharide. It means disaccharide is made by combination of the two monosaccharide. Disaccharide is made by combination of the two monosaccharide. During this process, a water molecule is released. When forming disaccharide, by combining the two monosaccharide, water molecule is formed. Right? In the same way, relevant monosaccharide can be obtained by hydrolyzing disaccharide. Right? Okay. Now when hydrolyzing the disaccharide, relevant monosaccharide can be obtained. Right? Disaccharides are sweet. The disaccharides are sweet and also water soluble. Disaccharides are sweet and also disaccharides are water soluble, and also crystals. Those are the some features of the disaccharide, right? Under the disaccharide we have learned about two monosaccharide join to form a disaccharide, and then we have learned about during this process a water molecule is released, and then we have learned about in the same way relevant monosaccharide can be obtained by hydrolyzing disaccharide. After that we have learned about disaccharide are sweet, water soluble and crystals, right? Okay, C6H12 6 main glucose, two monosaccharide combine to form the disaccharide. The common formula of the disaccharide is C12H22O11. Other than the water molecule is also produced when forming combine of the two monosaccharide, right? Then we will go to learn about next point. Disaccharide, mainly there are three types. What are they? Maltose, sucrose and lactose. Maltose, sucrose and lactose are the three types of the disaccharide. Then we will go to learn about location and some features of the disaccharide, right? Disaccharide. This column contain types of the disaccharide: maltose, sucrose and lactose. This column contain location and it present. This column contain other factors of the disaccharide, right? First we will go to learn about the maltose. Maltose contain in the germinating seeds. The other factors of the maltose are union of two glucose molecules form a maltose molecules. Maltose is made by combination of the two glucose molecules. Glucose mean monosaccharide. Combination of the two monosaccharide form the disaccharide and water molecules. So maltose is made by combination of the two glucose molecules and intermediate product of starch hydrolysis. Intermediate product means before the product before the end product. As example, when starch hydrolyzing, the intermediate product is the maltose, right? Then we will go to learn about the sucrose. White and brown sugar contain the sucrose, and also sugar cane, beet, some fruits, phloem saps contain the sucrose. Right? Other factors of the sucrose are union of a glucose molecules with a fructose molecule form a sucrose molecules. Sucrose is made by combination of the glucose molecules and fructose molecules. combination of the glucose and fructose produce sucrose molecules other than water molecule is also produced here, right? Then we will go to learn about the lactose. Now when we consider about the lactose contained in the dairy product, right? Then we will go to learn about other factors of the lactose. Union of a glucose molecules with a galactose molecule form a lactose molecules. Glucose molecules combine with the galactose molecules form the lactose molecules other than produce water also. The only sugar that is absent in plant. It means lactose is not present in the plant. Lactose can be seen only in the animal's body, not sweet as sucrose. Lactose has not a sweet taste, right? The percentage of lactose in cow milk according to its composition is 4% to 6%, and also the percentage of lactose in human milk according to the composition is 6% to 7%. Right now we have learned about different types of the disaccharide, right? Then we will go to learn about the polysaccharide, right? Polymerization of a large number of monosaccharide form a polysaccharide molecules. Polymerization means combining of the large number of some molecules in the polysaccharide. Polymerization of the large number of monosaccharide combine large number of monosaccharide combine each other and form the polysaccharide. The process of combining large number of monosaccharide is known as polymerization, right? Polysaccharide means polymerization of a large number of monosaccharide from a polysaccharide molecules form a polysaccharide molecules. Hydrolysis of polysaccharide result relevant monosaccharide can be taken hydrolysis of the polysaccharide molecules insoluble in normal water. Now when we consider about the polysaccharide insoluble in normal water, not crystal, those are the features of the polysaccharide. Then we will go to learn about examples for polysaccharide. So let's go to learn about examples for polysaccharide. Cellulose, starch and the glycogen are the examples for the polysaccharide. Right? Let's go to learn about other features of the polysaccharide. The structural unit of cellulose, starch and glycogen is glucose. Cellulose is made by combination of the large number of glucose. Starch also made by combination of the large number of glucose molecules. And also glycogen is also made by combination of the large number of glucose molecules. So the structural unit of cellulose, starch and glycogen is glucose, right? Next one, but their properties are different. Cellulose, starch and glucose are made by glycogen are made by combination of the glucose, but their properties are different. According to the number of glucose molecules and how they are bound with each other. Cellulose, starch and glycogen contain glucose, but number of glucose molecules contained in the cellulose, starch and glycogen are different, and also the way of combining the glucose in the cellulose, starch and glycogen are also different. Therefore, cellulose, starch and glycogen has the different properties. Then we will go to learn about types of the polysaccharide, their location and other factors of the polysaccharide. Right. Firstly, we will go to learn about the cellulose. Right. Location of the cellulose is cell wall of plant cells in fibers. fibers, right? Other factors of the cellulose are no nutritional value. Cellulose, no nutritional value, as it is not digested in the human digestive system, right? Cellulose is not digested in the human digestive system. Therefore, cellulose has no nutritional value, but if not, therefore it helps to avoid constipation. Right? Then we will go to learn about the starch. Starch contained in grains, jams, jack, bread and fruits are the some sources of the starch, right? The types of carbohydrate that store in plant is starch. The starch is the types of the carbohydrate that stores in the plant. Plant stores carbohydrate as the starch. Plant stores carbohydrate as the starch, right? Then we will go to learn about the glycogen. Right? Glycogen contained in the animal liver and muscles. Right? Glycogen are the types of carbohydrate that stores in animal body. Right? If not, animal body stores carbohydrate as glycogen. Right? Now we have learned about cellulose, starch and glycogen. Right? Then we will go to learn about structure of a glucose molecules. This is the structure of the glucose molecules. This structure contains 6 carbon atoms, 12 hydrogen atoms and 6 oxygen atoms. Right. Then we will go to learn about significance of carbohydrates. What are the significance of carbohydrate? Carbohydrate can be used as an energy source and also storage compounds. Plant store carbohydrate as starch, animal stores carbohydrate as glycogen, right? As a structural component in organism, as a constituents of nucleic acid are the some significance of the carbohydrates. Right? Then significance of carbohydrate. Right? Today we have learned about carbohydrates. Under the carbohydrates we have learned about elements contained in the carbohydrates, and then we have learned about the types of the carbohydrates. Under the types of the carbohydrates we have learned about monosaccharide, disaccharide and polysaccharide. Under the monosaccharide we have learned about glucose, fructose and galactose. Under the disaccharide we have learned about monosaccharide, under the disaccharide we have learned about maltose, lactose and sucrose. Under the polysaccharide we have learned about starch, cellulose and glycogen. After that we have learned about the significance of the carbohydrate. Right? In my next video I will explain how to identify the carbohydrates. Right? Have a nice day.